Alright, hello and welcome to this best of three between BlackMagic and DeathTacticus, as BlackMagic just confirms that it is indeed a best of three, but that is my understanding. Joining me for this cast, for this heavyweight 1v1 clash, we've got a heavyweight co-caster as well, Philothanic.
Alright, so we have a chemical colony, so I'm looking around the carbon, and carbon's actually a little bit sparse on this map. And high price. So
Yeah, there's the one single high at the top, but that's not enough to get a scav down. The Scientist and the Expansive go down. DT has reasonable iron, but he's going a long way for the aluminum.
The aluminum's far, he's not too far away from water over there. He's miles away from any carbon, so he's hoping that chemicals there won't be too much pressure from the colony.
He found it really early as well, 30,000 of debt, leaving BlackMagic, and I don't know whether BlackMagic was going to found at the same time, but they found it almost together, and so BlackMagic has no debt and the extra claim at HQ2.
Right, I'm not sure that DeathTacticus spot was good enough for that 30k in debt. We'll want to see how this plays out. He is selling down that iron to get some nice quick cash, hopefully speed that upgrade. And then
so painful though, the steel at 120, it's now at 114 because I think BlackMagic has been selling some down, but even so, it's gonna be so difficult for him to get the upgrades.
Right, now that iron's already crashed, he needs to start moving out of it into something else.
Oh, and the EMP on the aluminum as well. Aluminum's already at 64, BlackMagic upgrading to 2. Be interesting to see what he does here. I assume he needs to grab some of the aluminum as well. What's his closest aluminum? It's like down in the southwest, isn't it?
Yes, the medium tile is southwest. That's a little bit further than DeathTacticus aluminum shipments, so they'll be equal in that regard.
So DT splitting his steel. He did eventually get up to 2, and he's put 4 steel mills down and has split them for the black market defense. BlackMagic going into glass, and that's an interesting decision because he has the one glass kiln on the high silicon. What else has he got? He still hasn't used the rest of his claims, just thinking about what to do, I guess.
Now, I'm not too much of a fan of this glass kiln placement because there are magnetic storms instead of pirates in this map.
Yeah.
So he's only going into the one, so maybe he's gambling with that black magic tile there.
I don't know quite.
Nope, he's going for a second one, so I expect that DeathTacticus is going to punish him for this with the magnetic storms, and he's not going to get much from it.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, going into 2 is fine, but just the one there to begin with. I guess he couldn't afford a second one. I guess that was what was going on, because silicon was reasonably expensive.
Yes, but what I was wondering is if he only went into 1, then it might not be worth the 3k for DeathTacticus to hit him with it, but now that he's got the 2...
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he can split the shipments. I mean, they're big shipments, so they're quite infrequent. It's 60 a time when you do that.
They will, yeah, they won't be anywhere near, so maybe he'll be fine with that, but that's another thing I want to look at. BlackMagic actually took the high aluminum next to DeathTacticus' high aluminum. A little bit less distance than that medium tile that we first looked at. And there's that first magnetic storm.
That wasn't a full shipment, though, I don't think. That was only 30 or so glass that he blew out of the air, and he blows another 30 or so glass out of the air as well. So, is using those to reasonable effect. The unfortunate thing for DeathTacticus is look at the price of steel. BlackMagic has been auto-selling steel for about the last minute and a half. And it's absolutely worthless now. The steel mills turning themselves off. They're also consuming power, which is up near 200. And there is a dust storm coming, so it's not as though you can just throw down solar panels and make power.
On the bright side for DeathTacticus, he has everything he needs to upgrade except for aluminum.
Yeah,
so
but he needs...
Eventually...
He needs, what, 4,000 for that? How's he going to get that money? I just don't know how he's going to get that money.
He won't get that money, he's just going to sit here for another 80 shipments of aluminum. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, BlackMagic isn't... He's actually going to buy up some steel.
Yeah, they're actually reasonably close, but BlackMagic did manage to get a wind turbine down. So his debt is going to be much less problematic. DT does get the upgrade to 3 though.
He does, so this will be very interesting to see what he goes into. Immediately claiming down 2 water, and where's this? A geothermal, and where's this last claim going for? Oh, that's the water.
Yeah, the geotherm makes perfect sense, and he's also adding. He's going into food, is he?
Yes.
In the southwest, so presumably all of those 3 on the triangle are going to be farms. BlackMagic upgrades to 3 as well. Gets the high carbon tile for himself. That's going to make him a lot of money, actually. Carbon at 58 with the wind turbine that he bought.
Get some of that money back from paying down the wind turbine.
Yeah.
Glass is steadily rising, so that will be nice for him, as long as DT doesn't magnetic storm it too often.
Yeah, and I mean it's what, 4,500 for DT to do that, and just the fact that everything's so low, everything he's producing is so low in terms of value, it's going to be really difficult for him to justify that. I'm assuming a second wind turbine will go down at some point for BlackMagic. I would imagine that that's his plan.
I was wondering why no one was bidding on this patent auction. Cold fusion when water's 30, well now 55.
Yeah, that is an absolute steal. And
it should have gone for more.
And BlackMagic has obviously he's sat on a huge patch of ice, and there's even a water tile there as well. So I'm concerned for DT that he let that go. That's going to be a lot of money that BlackMagic's going to save.
That must have been a mistake, because DT has 1.8 extra water coming in right now, even though the water price is high, and partially that is DeathTacticus raising it. He still could have benefited from using water to power his buildings.
But BlackMagic not really going into the ice. He's only got the single electrolysis reactor, which isn't on any water, so he's paying full cost for that, as it were.
Yeah, there's one water tile, which I think he core sampled for it.
That would make sense.
Yes, he used 2 core samples, and only got the 1 water tile.
So where's the... what did he use the other core sample on? That's...
on the
carbon, was it?
No, the carbon was already there, must have got nothing.
Okay. You can't get nothing from a core sample, can you?
Not sure.
I thought you always got something.
Maybe he got another silicon? Or another
it's possible.
iron?
In any case, or maybe it was it the aluminum? Because there are 2 aluminums next to each other now
maybe
in the sort of southeast.
Aluminum.
Maybe he did that. Yeah, maybe that's what he did. Don't know.
Then that makes sense. Anyway, while we're talking about that, both players have gone up to level 4. DeathTacticus got frozen out by BlackMagic on his electrolysis reactors. Those are making him decent money. His farms aren't, because of that dust storm, are not making too much money, so they turned auto off.
Yeah, the big problem for DeathTacticus is really his debt at this point. 124,000. He's 20,000 away from being in the D level of debt. That is particularly bad in 1v1s because the black market is so important. And power's crashing because BlackMagic has all 3 of those tiles now. He scrapped out of the glass kilns, got all 3 of those tiles into wind turbines during a dust storm, and that will kill power like nothing else. DT does put an EMP down on his only real profitable thing, the electrolysis, but even so, that's going to be a painful situation for him. He's going to have to do something about this debt.
Yep, BlackMagic just used core sample to create 2 more water tiles, so he's securing himself a little bit of a normal science spot over here on ice.
Yeah,
Towers crashed, and then looking at DeathTacticus, as you can see, no one's been in chemicals at all, so that chemical price has creeped up to almost 250, and this is where DeathTacticus is found being so far away from all the sources of carbon. Seems like a long-term mistake.
Yeah, he's I mean, he's got the 2 here, that's just in the south, that he can maybe ship in, and he's expansive, so that's possibly viable. I mean, carbon's still at $20 though, and BlackMagic's collecting some, so he might be able to just rely on BlackMagic doing that for the time being.
He could.
I mean, it feeds money to him, but it might be worth it for the chems. He is 5 though, and that's a big deal for an expansive player. And he has taken one of those carbon as well. So, obviously thinking, that those chems are going to be an important market. He gets his steel frozen out, and then the reply comes in almost immediately onto the electrolysis, but it feels so bad EMPing a scientist, even when they have 5 things clumped like that, because it just doesn't last very long.
No, the 50% science bonus on black market effects is definitely useful.
So DT now in 155,000 of debt. Cook the Books is available. He won't necessarily want to use it because it does take a black market cooldown, and those are extremely valuable in 1v1s. He is putting down a hacker array, which is an interesting move. I think it's probably the natural move in a 1v1 situation like this when you have the claims to spare. Worth noting as well that BlackMagic has put a Pleasure Dome down, which is making him decent money, 120, and with power basically dead, that's pure profit at this point.
Alright, and with an expansive player and a scientist, this might be the best the Pleasure Dome gets in a 1v1 other than 2 expansives.
So I'm intrigued as to what DT is going to do with this hacker array. Is he going to hack chems up? Yes, he is. Immediately that comes in, and he still has the HQ advantage over BlackMagic. BlackMagic very close to the upgrade. Oh, this is the virtual reality.
A timely patent auction for BlackMagic. Question is, will DT keep BlackMagic from getting it, or will DT bid it up?
Something else as well while all that's been going on. DT. Wow, that's really cheap. That's really cheap.
I mean, you could at least have bid that up a couple times.
Yeah, I would have thought so. DT has purchased Cook the Books, by the way. So he's got one of those. He's in B levels of debt despite having 150,000 or so. And this chem shortage, I'm kind of intrigued that he's selling down the chems rather than trying to stockpile them at this point, because that would seem to be the natural thing to do when you...
It would be. Perhaps he's just Perhaps he's waiting until the chemical gets closer like this, so BlackMagic doesn't know it's happening right away.
Yeah.
So now that the chemical shortage is coming, he's buying into it.
BlackMagic does have... Let's have a look.
BlackMagic has not bought into the chemical shortage.
Yeah, he's not, and he really
doesn't have. He'd have to sell out of his carbon stockpile.
And this is going to be a lot of money in DT's pocket. The EMP does come down on the chems, which is pretty natural at this point. But he's still going to benefit hugely from this hack. Another Cook the Books bought, so he's in A debt despite being nearly 200k now in the red. And an oxygen short. Interesting.
Curious on BlackMagic's side is he has these 2 chemical labs down, which they're making good money at 200 a second, but because of those chemicals, he's not producing much steel, and if he was going to upgrade, he needs 43k in steel. He's just sitting at level 4, letting DeathTacticus with that expansive advantage at level 5 out-earn him a lot of money.
I guess the thing for BlackMagic is what would he do with those extra claims? And this, I guess, is where...
If he bought the extra claims, he could put more into chems than just the 2 he's currently working with.
Yeah, that's true.
He could perhaps...
And he gets 5, like it's kind of a big deal. But his found is sort of away in the corner. I guess he could go into something like... Yeah, I mean, it would be 3 chems, I guess, wouldn't it? And maybe some ice.
3 chems, some ice, potentially some electronics factories.
Although I think he knows that DT is holding water high intentionally. As soon as he does get into ice, he's going to be seeing that market go to $1.
Correct.
DT seems to be saving for an Offworld as well. He's got he just sold down his glass, in fact. So maybe not.
Right now there is a 40k spread between BlackMagic and DeathTacticus, and it is holding with... Well, no, DeathTacticus is creeping up ahead, which is what you'd expect with the extra HQ level and all the extra tiles between the 2.
Yeah, I mean, the debt is the only real problem for DeathTacticus, but again, Cook the Books available. He's only in A at the moment, so he's only going to take a 9% tick, which is, what, 15,000?
Mm-hmm.
He's putting an Offworld up as well. So what are Offworlds like? Offworlds are really good. They're pretty good. Oxygen.
BlackMagic immediately noticed that Offworld and popped it.
Yep, he
with
did.
The dynamite.
He spied it, I guess. Yep, he did spy it. So DT moving further into BlackMagic. He has such a big lead at this point. BlackMagic does get to 5, but it feels too little, too late.
It does. It sort of feels at this point, assuming DeathTacticus does take this, that BlackMagic threw away his early lead.
Yeah, I don't quite know really what happened. He got that steel sold down to the point where DeathTacticus wasn't producing anything that was worth any money at all. Limped to an upgrade, but in doing so seemed to sort of hamstring himself a little bit. Not exactly sure how that worked. He did get slant drilling BlackMagic, but again, this all feels much too little, much too late. Could have done
slant drilling, carbon scrubbing.
Yeah.
So, a decent amount of patents if BlackMagic didn't already have 5 stock bought into him, and currently sitting on more cash than him.
Yeah, and has an Offworld that's gooned. All of these things are just big advantages for DT, and especially with the Expansive as well. Expansive is probably the only HQ type that can sort of naturally hang with a scientist in the late game, produce that amount of money.
DeathTacticus moving out of the chems and into electrolysis reactors. Was surplusing chemicals, but an attack array, but decided to stop doing that. Isn't exactly sure what to use that hack array for.
Yeah, he also did build a pattern lab just so he could get thinking machines by the looks of it. And now that he's got that, he's sitting there not doing anything. He's getting nanotech. So I would assume that will become, as soon as nanotech finishes, the pattern lab will become an Offworld. Would seem to make sense. BlackMagic, yeah, it just doesn't really have anything going on. No Offworld, no real money.
DeathTacticus remembered that pleasure dome just sitting there earning 240 a second. Well, after he's taken the power, 150 a second or so, blew that up. BlackMagic puts a goon squad on it, rebuilding.
Yeah, again, too little, too late though.
That's what we would expect. We've seen in this autumn tournament, we've seen some crazy come back from behind wins, and if any player would do a crazy comeback from behind win, it would be these 2 players.
Yep, that's true. BlackMagic, if anyone can, he can. One of the very best 1v1 players that we have in Offworld Trading Company, but this one seems a long way gone to me.
It does. Now, if I'm BlackMagic right now, I'm wondering, yes, what he's going to do right now, he's going to try and force DeathTacticus to defend himself a little bit. That, at least...
Yeah, it's I mean, it's definitely the right move, but it's trivial for DT to do that. He's got so much money.
What that does is it maybe forces DeathTacticus to wait a little bit on a second Offworld, which he chose not to go into, instead going into a second optimization center.
Yeah, the optimization center
food and fuel
seems a little bit strange. Again, sort of the not using the advantage that he has, tries to get long-term advantages instead.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that, because if you look at the prices, not all of them, half the prices are above $100. So going into optimization centers actually does make sense.
Yeah, that's true. It is a strong move, but it is very much a long-term play, and he did have a big short-term advantage. And actually, his advantage is not huge anymore.
Well,
that was a concession, though. So I guess
yes.
BlackMagic disagreed.
Yes, I was just going to disagree with you too.
Okay, fair enough. I stand corrected.
But, yeah, but anyway, so how to analyze this game really quick before we jump into the next one. So DeathTacticus, we both questioned DeathTacticus as found, and it ended up not mattering. He did take a lot of debt, forcing, how many cookbooks did that take?
Maybe just two or three. Let's have a look.
2 cookbook books.
It was 2.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's not too bad.
Yeah, and the fact that
saying helpful stuff in chat.
The fact that was available, kind of a
Made
big deal in this game.
30k debt found actually work out. well, because he was taking 9k interest ticks at 160k debt instead of, you know...
It suddenly makes that amount of debt sustainable.
20k interest ticks or whatever that would be at that point.